Welcome to the Productivity Podcast. This is number 2 in our series of 3 episodes with our friends at WorkJam. And today I am joined by David Rogers, VP of Sales and Marketing EMEA for WorkJam. Hi, David.
Hi, Simon. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. You well?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. All good. Very busy, very good.
Good. Always a way to be. Time moves faster when you're busy, all that kind of stuff. So thanks for taking the time out to chat. So this is episode 2 in our series of 3. We spoke to Mark in episode 1. We've got yourself in episode 2, and then yourself and Rachel, who's a special guest from Aramark in episode 3, which will be good. Today, we're going to have a chat about a number of things. I think you've got some business case information to chat through, which will be good for the listeners. And then we'll look at kind of simplicity of deployment and some of the benefits that brings from WorkJam. Before we dive into that detail, though, just give us a bit of career background, David. What have you done before WorkJam? How did you arrive there?
Yeah, long history, probably longer than I want to remember now. But really started as a business analyst in retail. So I've been around retail and hospitality for kind of over 20 years, working predominantly in kind of retail operations, in-store technology, some logistics, supply chain, manufacturing as well, which led me really to working in the kind of workforce management space with Reflexis for a few years. And then they were acquired by Zebra, worked there in North America, leading their kind of software go-to-market for a number of years, which is very interesting. And then I've known of WorkJam for quite a few years, and the guys there, they convinced me to come over and help scale the EMEA business, which we've done over the last 3 or 4 years. I've been here for nearly 2 years now, so enjoyed every moment of it. Very interesting value proposition, and taking that to market's been really well accepted. So, and I'm working with a lot of the vendors and suppliers that I'd previously worked with as well. So being very complementary to the sector that I've been around and the solution providers that I've come to know and love over those years, really. So now just really leading the go-to-market, predominantly in Europe, although we are being pulled into other areas like the Middle East and Eastern Europe as well. So very interesting times, and a nice convergence point of kind of market readiness and value proposition. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. That's me, really.
Brilliant. So good credentials in the industry, kind of grown up around all this stuff. And as you said, that evolution on from workforce management into frontline engagement and trying to get in touch with the teams and the colleagues that are quite difficult to reach or rely on a hierarchical cascade process, which is only as good as the person that has the time to deliver it or the people that are around at the time to take that information off them. And Mark touched on some of that in episode 1. I think you've got some recent kind of business case crystallization of ROI stuff that you wanted to share.
Yeah, I think it's all derived from a couple of things, really, where I think retail is really focused on kind of providing solutions around, in-store, logistics, supply chain, omni-channel. And I guess you could probably say that a lot of those do a great job, but they work in isolation of each other somewhat. And I guess you could call them point solutions, and they offer a value. And I think, people have invested and focused very much on that over the last few years. And I think maybe they've left the front line behind. I think COVID probably illustrated that point, that you need to kind of touch your front line as much as you can to kind of communicate, enable, motivate, and develop, So I think we've seen that real convergence of, front line being left behind a little bit. And I think that's, as I talk to retailers around Europe, that's fairly consistent. There's also still a lot of manual process in place, where people are focused on perhaps some of the the bigger systems to automate, and in an attempt to kind of drive down their costs, improve their sales, and engage with their customers in a better way. So that kind of leads us to how do you realize some of that benefit, and it does come down to the business case at the end of the day. And I guess when you start talking about WorkJam, you can blow people's minds very quickly, because it is multifaceted. It's made up of multiple modules that can be deployed in isolation of each other, but work very consistently in an orchestrated way together. So, and one of the key features in the ROI is, target audience. And going back to my earlier point around kind of point solutions, people have tried to develop things in the past, but I think now with WorkJam, you can see starting very simply. A lot of our customers start with comms, so immediately they can engage with their frontline. The frontline only ever see what is relevant for them. So their skills, their attributes, their interests, their development path is presented to them. So we remove a lot of the noise through having to access multiple systems, but we bring those point solutions together in a very orchestrated way. So, just talking about comms, and obviously that leads into task management, which gives you 100% visibility of everything that's going on in your store. Obviously, a lot of ROI around that, which I'll cover in a second. But really putting your finger on the pulse of the store operations, I think people are seeing real value in that. And then obviously, learning in the flow as you go, instead of having to do classroom-based trainings and learnings, you can open up those kind of learnings in the moment as you need them through one single app. And then latterly, being able to link out to, the current workforce management systems to exploit those even further and add real value through being able to, have one place to go, one app to go. But some of the business statistics that we're finding really kind of center around two or three kind of key areas, and around my point of frontline, being able to free up managers' time, which I think is often one of the biggest challenges, where managers typically develop through the business. They're often the best salespeople, the best operators, the most credible people, but they often get consumed in the back office, juggling multiple things, often admin, often manual. So freeing up time for the manager is a big number, and I think we found with one of our customers that we can give back 15% of time to the manager. And in this particular case, that was 61,000 hours per year, and then it's okay. Now I can focus on mentoring, motivating, and engaging with my customers, as well as doing, those simple things around perhaps task management of wastage, my pull-through routines, my markdown routines, my promotional compliance, all adds value to the business case. So, obviously freeing up hours is one thing, but then maximizing what you do with those hours is the next challenge. So that's been an eye-opening kind of number for us. And then obviously in the same customer, we had 35,000 hours going back to the front line. So that means that they're able to do tasks an awful lot quicker, and into the app, do the task, read the communications, do what they need to, get out and actually spend time with their customers and improve that customer experience. And one of the biggest ones we found was in today's kind of hiring market, hiring and retaining people was one of the biggest challenges that retailers have, particularly when they're seasonal and they need either part-time or seasonal workers. And we found that we were able to improve retention by between 1 and 5%. 1 being a very conservative number, 5 being more of the reality. And when you've got many thousands of users, frontline workers in your business, that's often a very big number. And within that number comes, I can now develop my people better. I can give them the tools that they need. They can have some fun with it as well. So there's a certain amount of gamification, learning from your peers. We've got one customer that's got a channel for table football leagues. And it starts being a lot more fun and gets people more engaged. So. And then other things like product recalls, able to reduce product recalls from days down to minutes, which is often a very big number. And I think I mentioned in my previous points that affecting wastage, even by a small amount, is all to the bottom line. You're not throwing it away anymore. You're being able to sell it, and particularly when you factor in markdowns and automated markdowns through the WorkJam app, then that adds a huge amount of value. So, and you're also turning your people from, shelf stackers and to more, evangelists of the brand, and I think that's a big thing for retailers at the moment, where, perhaps consumer confidence is low due to, trust, and the rising food costs doesn't help. So having people that are on hand, able to communicate, engaged, adds a huge amount of value to the business case. So those were the main findings, Simon. There's a lot of peripheral things around, savings in the business case, and for a company like ours, we really do like to start with the business case and not functions and features. And I think that's, and focusing in on the front line, where there's a kind of a bit of a gaping hole, really, is really important. And that's essentially what we're doing.
Absolutely. And some really big numbers there in terms of putting hours back into, I suppose, more customer focused, or from a manager's point of view, colleague focused activities, which is good to hear. Mark touched briefly in episode 1 around quick deployment, and I think we touched on this isn't something that should take months and months and months and maybe even years to deliver and slow down the realization of those benefits. So can you kind of talk us through at a high level, is this something that takes weeks to deploy? And I know there's always a reliance on whoever you're working with to get you some data, but is it a typically a weeks type of deployment, months? How does it work?
Yeah, I think we generally start with our comms module, and that's really weeks. So as long as we've got access to a hierarchy, then we can start building that in weeks, even at scale. And I think that's one of the, WorkJam was set up by individuals that, set it up for scale, flexibility, robustness and security, from day one. So, and multi-language as well. So a lot of our customers, are spread, across multi-country, multi-region, multi-language, all of which, is done in the moment. So, one of our newest customers started with comms, and from start to finish, they were up and running in 6 weeks. And they really saw that as a change kind of enabler. They were going through a workforce management and digital transformation program, and putting comms in the hands of all of their workers really gave them that platform to say, this is coming, to be able to communicate with them regularly around training aspects, remove a lot of the manual effort in the run-up, and in readiness for those other systems that were coming in place. So, weeks rather than months or years. Task management is generally relatively quickly deployed on top of that. I guess the only complexity is, as you say, access to other systems. And, one of the things that we're really good at now, and I think we're seeing a lot of value from, is integrating into those IoT systems, which again can be very quick. So one of our customers, we're integrating into their fridges and freezers, and sending auto alerts through tasks and communications if temperature thresholds are reached, all of which has been deployed in 6 to 8 weeks. So I think retailers have been, they're probably a little fed up with the overpromise and underdeliver of some of those big systems, whereas we've really focused on being very lean, very focused, and get value in the hands of customers as quickly as possible, and then obviously layer in other components and value on top of that.
And I think it's back to that, not trying to solve all the problems in one go, isn't it? So you talked about there somebody starting with comms, but ultimately you could also start with maybe task or integrating into WFM or the IoT stuff. So I suppose it's that building the layers of the cake, isn't it? So not trying to do everything all in one go and getting bogged down, but getting some real tangible return and then layering on top.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of retailers that are going through that whole either unified comms, digital transformation, where they put a lot of systems in place, and there's often no way to join those up into one unified way of working. And we kind of use the word orchestration. So that one app to go to do everything that you need is really important, but also sweating and exploiting those current systems that you've put in place. You want to maximize that. And also, people that perhaps have got, they want to sweat a particular solution for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years. WorkJam can allow them to do that by having an integrated app to their, as a front end to their existing systems, whether that's ServiceNow, whether it's Cornerstone, whether it's, UKG. We've done multiple integrations into all of those kind of vendors to ensure that we offer real and tangible value.
And just talk us through, because you've got some unique bits. We've got the task automation, haven't we, and the target audience. So again, Mark touched briefly on target audience, but it'd be good to understand how that works and the task automation.
Yeah, so it's been built. I'll start with target audience because that's kind of the foundation and the building blocks of everything we do. So I'm David. I'm a user. I'm set up with my core profile. But as I do certain things, so if I do a particular set of tasks, it might be a promotional end of aisle for a particular brand. I earn a badge. I gain a recognition. That all builds my profile automatically. So everything I do, if I do a training or a learning, I get a badge for that and a recognition for that. So if I express an interest in being a manager or assistant manager, again, that's embedded into the target audience. So, what it really does is build my profile through a level of AI and automation. So I only ever see what's relevant for me, and I can help develop myself by the trainings or communications or just that overall development within the app. And the task automation is really, we've got this really sophisticated engine that allows you to either have tasks generated into those target audiences. So for example, I can only see a task if I have a particular profile. So again, I only get to see what's relevant for me, which is very unique in the marketplace. And the automated engine that we've got also allows you to go out to those other systems and have tasks generated by, it might be a ServiceNow ticket that goes to a particular individual within the target audience. It might be a shift that's become available and integrated into WorkJam, and that I then see a pool of shifts that I can apply for and get extra hours for. So it's all that kind of engine, and task plays a big part within that.
So lots of complexity kind of with that thinking and all those bits that are going on behind the scenes and all the processing, but ultimately all in the spirit of keeping things targeted to certain types of people by user group, job group, etc., to keep their comms streamlined to only actionable points or information points that are applicable to them.
Yeah. Essentially, I only ever see what's relevant for me, and I can just remove the noise and get on with my day job. And that's really what having that one single app, which is WorkJam, allows you to do. So I think it's very unique. The target audience is certainly very, very unique, and people. We come across customers that are either looking to work and buy something or build something. So the fundamental difference is that you don't have to go looking for anything. It's only ever presented to you through WorkJam.
Amazing. Brilliant insight, David. Really, really interesting on those kind of big numbers in terms of the business case. So I think that brings us to a close of episode 2 in this series. And I will see you for the recording of episode 3 with Rachel from Aramark soon. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, my pleasure, Simon. Thank you.